I just did the worst live stream of my life. It was so terrible. It was awful. Okay, first of all, I don't do live streams very often because they're terrifying. I don't know why it's easier for me to just have a cup of coffee with a stranger than it is for me to talk into a camera. So I started the live stream, and just as I started, my husband opened the door and fed the dog. So I'm trying to focus on my notes right up here, and my husband is feeding the dog. So I can just hear the dog like eating his lunch, and doors slamming. Because I work in this little nook, and I don't really have an office where I can close the door and do a live stream. The other thing that I noticed, and you might be noticing it right now, is that's a bathroom. And you can see the bathroom. I don't even have the toilet seat closed. It's a mess. So you could totally see the bathroom during the first couple minutes of the live stream, and I'm like, oh my god, Rebecca, keep it professional here. You can see your bathroom. There's chaos going on in your kitchen right now, and then only two people were watching, and so I'm like, nobody's even watching. Why am I doing this? And then when I got to like the Q&A session where I was hoping to answer some questions, then the doorbell rings, and we're remodeling our house. So I thought it was the electricians, which were supposed to be here this morning but still aren't here. But it was just the FedEx guy. Anyway, I'm going to try again, only I'm not going to do a live stream. I'm going to just drink a Spindrift and talk about what I was going to talk about on the live stream that turned out to be really awful. So, I love Spindrift. So bear with me. Today, I would like to talk to you about climbing Kilimanjaro. More specifically, I would like to share with you 3 things that I think you need to know about being ready to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Now, I'm not an expert on Mount Kilimanjaro. I've climbed the mountain once, but it was really fun. And I'm going again because it was really fun. So let's rewind to, oh, I'm going to burp. Excuse me. Let's rewind to 2014. Rebecca was 10 years younger, 10 years skinnier, 10 years cuter, and I had a baby and I had a toddler, and my husband was in law school, so we were super poor and we were living off beans and rice, and we were cash flowing law school, which made us even more poor. And we were on a very tight budget. I was working a part-time job, and then I was trying to do all the freelance work that I could pick up on the side to help pay the bills. So that's kind of where we were at personally and professionally. And I got this email that was like, hey, Rebecca, we are taking a group of women up to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, and we're going with the documentary filmmaker, and we're going to do this whole video thing about climbing Kilimanjaro with this group of women, and we would love to extend a personal invitation for you to join us to climb to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. And I was like, yes, this is a dream come true. Oh my gosh, I would love to climb Kilimanjaro with this group of women. A filmmaker is going to be there. Hello, I'm so good in front of the camera. I'm not at all. Anyway, so I was like so stoked to get this opportunity to climb Kilimanjaro with this group of women. I talked to my husband, and he was like, oh man, that's incredible. I support you, but let's be realistic about this. You got a baby that you're still breastfeeding. You got this toddler. We could always bring a grandma in to help, so that's fine. But are you ready to leave your baby and toddler for 2 weeks to go to Africa? I don't know. Like, that's your choice. But he was like, okay, it's going to cost $5,000. So we don't really have just an extra $5,000 in the savings account right now. We could probably find a way to get the money to go if you really want to do it. So he wasn't like, no, you can't go, but he just brought me back down to reality, and the reality of what it would take for me to be able to climb Kilimanjaro with that group of women. And ultimately, after some tears, I decided that it was not a good time for me to climb Kilimanjaro. And I say that because it wasn't a good time for me to climb Kilimanjaro then, but it was a good time for me to climb Kilimanjaro a decade later. And so it's a new year, and everybody's talking about like this new year, new year. Are you ready for big adventures? Do you have goals? What is your intention? What is your word of the year? What is on your vision board, right? And so I just want to insert climbing Kilimanjaro into this whole new year, new you thing, because maybe climbing Kilimanjaro wasn't right for you a decade ago or 5 years ago or even last year, but maybe, just maybe, climbing Kilimanjaro is right for you this year. And so, whatever is going on in your life, I want you to know that I think you're capable of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And there's always going to be an obstacle getting in the way of that big thing that we want to do, right? There's always going to be like a new job, a new relationship. Maybe we're not feeling like we're super physically fit. Maybe we don't have a babysitter for our kids. Maybe we just had a kid. Maybe we can't take time off work. Maybe you don't have a passport. Maybe you're scared of altitude. Maybe you don't even want to climb Kilimanjaro. Maybe you don't have support from your spouse or partner. Those things are always going to get in the way of whatever big thing we're trying to do. But I just want to share like 3 things that I think you need in your life in order to be prepared and ready to climb Kilimanjaro. Okay, are you ready? I need another sip of my Spindrift. This is going so much better than my live stream did. Okay, so first of all, are you ready to climb Kilimanjaro? Do you have time to train? And by time to train, I don't mean do you have 5 hours a day to walk. What I mean is, do you work 12 hours a day? And if do you work weekends and nights? Is your schedule crazy, or are you able to fit 1 to 2 hours a day into your schedule for physical training, and maybe 3 to 4 to 5 hours a day for physical training into your schedule on weekends? I'm personally preparing 6 to 10 hours a week of serious Kilimanjaro focused training, 90 to 120 days before the climb. So that's when I'm going to start my Kilimanjaro specific training. So we're going back at the end of August, July, June, May. So probably first part of May, maybe even April. That's when I'm going to start doing my very focused Kilimanjaro specific training, which is really seriously going to just involve a whole lot of uphill walking, whole lot of stair climbing at the gym, and some stadiums, lots of getting up and down, up and down, up and down mountains here where I live in southeastern Wyoming, and a lot of hiking specific strength training, flexibility, and balance training. So last year I was just so focused on being able to walk for a long time that I neglected my strength and flexibility and balance. So I'm going to throw some more strength, flexibility, and balance into my training program. Right now, like, we're still 8 months from climbing Kilimanjaro. So right now I'm just doing my normal physical fitness routine, which is trying to get 15,000 steps in a day. I do strength training 5 days a week. I go legs, arms, legs, arms, legs, arms, legs, and I try to do a couple yoga classes a week too. So I love to exercise and I love to work out, and that's kind of the program that I'm following right now. Now, with physical training to get ready for Kilimanjaro, there's also this element of mental training too. And just developing that grit, that mental resilience that we need to get ourselves up a really big ass mountain. It was an evening. The other evening, so I'm trying to do this 15,000 step a day challenge, and the other evening I was exhausted. It was cold. It was snowing. The sidewalks and streets were super icy. I don't want to fall and break a hip. I'm 45 years old. I don't need to do that. My bones are brittle. So I was like, man, I need to get 5,000 more steps in before I have my 15,000 steps in. And so I was like, shoot, I guess I got to go take the dog for a walk around the park to get those 5,000 extra steps in after dinner when it's cold, dark, snowy, all the things. And it was miserable and I didn't want to do it. But I thought to myself, it's cold on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro and it's dark on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, and it's hard. So building grit by doing those workouts that are not necessarily super fun, that's important. That's an important part of training and getting ready to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. The way I look at physical training leading up to Kilimanjaro is, if we are fit going into the climb, then it reduces our chance of injury, and then we're going to have more fun because we're not going to be suffering as much, and we're going to be able to recover better between the hikes every day at when we're sleeping at altitude on the side of a mountain. Like, it's just better to try to go in as physically fit as possible. It kind of reminds me back to my Army days. I had a commander before one of my deployments to Iraq, and he talked about how physical fitness is important for the Army, an important part of being a soldier, but for his brigade particularly, he wanted all of his soldiers to be super duper fit, because there were all of these studies that showed about survivability after being injured or wounded as it correlates to how fit someone was going into the combat zone. And I kind of think about it the same way, right? Like, I just want to be so healthy and so strong and so fit going into Kilimanjaro that it's reduces my chance for injury and helps me feel better. Now, do you have to be like a 20-year-old super fit stud muffin? Can you stay? Is it still like appropriate to say stud muffin? I don't know if it is. I say we bring it back. I think that sometimes when we're young and fit, we also are a little bit arrogant because we just feel so indestructible with how fit our bodies are. And I think that could actually be a detriment on the mountain. So, like, I'm 45, I weigh 20 more pounds than I did 3 years ago before I got cancer, and it's fine. Like, I can still take my chubby little belly and booty up to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro and be fine. So those are my thoughts on, are you ready? Yeah. Do you have time to prepare physically and mentally to climb the mountain? If so, then I think you're ready. Let's move on to number 2, budget. Remember the very beginning of this video when I talked about how I wanted to climb Kilimanjaro, but I just didn't have like $5,000 to climb Kilimanjaro? Well, depending on where you're flying in and out of, depending on where you live in the world, it's going to cost probably $4,000 to $6,000, and that's like plane tickets, guiding company, I don't know, all the things like to climb Kilimanjaro. And I did a video earlier where I broke down the budget. You can find it. I'll put a link like up there somewhere. So it's going to cost about $4,000 to $6,000 if you just go with like a mid-tier guiding company to climb Kilimanjaro. And if that amount of money makes you a little nervous or uncomfortable because you don't have it, then it's like you got to figure out how to get it, right? Because you don't want that amount of money to keep you from having a good time on the mountain because you're worried about how you're going to be able to pay for it later, right? So let me give you an example. My husband and I love budgeting. We love to, we have a lot of spreadsheets and stuff, keeping track of our finances and investments. And we have a category in our budget for adventure travel because we like to travel as a family. And we just went to, where did we go? I'm getting ready to go to Iceland. We went to Ireland. I'm like, it starts with an I. I got this beautiful sweater there. This is a beautiful Irish sweater. Anyway, so we went to Ireland. And for a couple years leading up to the trip to Ireland, we just tried to find extra money in our budget that we could stick into that adventure travel category. So I don't like to think about money in terms of like scarcity and saving money and be like, oh, don't get your latte. Because what if you really enjoy getting a latte? I don't care if you get a latte, but maybe if you get a latte, is there some other place where you can find a little bit of extra money in your budget to stick in the adventure travel category of your budget? Let me give you an example. We just got new health insurance for our children, and this new health insurance company, we were able to save like $600 a month on health insurance. So that's money that we're actually like gonna save for children's college, if we can even afford that. Who knows what that's going to look like when our kids are ready for college. But anyway, that's money we're saving in like the future of our children category, not adventure travel. But that was money that we unexpectedly found in our budget because we shopped around for a different health insurance. I went, I'm recording this on January 6th, and I do my grocery shopping, a big chunk of grocery shopping, on the first Saturday of the month at Safeway, because I can use digital coupons and I'm a veteran. And on the first Saturday of the month at Safeway, if you didn't know this, you can get 10% off. So I saved $65 buying groceries on Saturday at Safeway because I was doing digital coupons and with that military discount. So it's like that was $60 that I can then now put into the adventure travel budget because I found money somewhere else, right? That's how it works. When I think about like budgeting for adventure trips, it's like I'm all about booking the trip with my credit card so that I can get points and miles. And I'm actually a huge fan of Daily Drop Pro, which is like I'm learning how to use points and miles to book travel. And anyway, so like I'm all about using credit card for points and miles, but I don't want to finish my adventure. So like I don't want to finish climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and then come home and then have this crazy credit card bill that I'm trying to pay off for the next 6 months at a super high interest rate. So it's like if you are like, okay, I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro in 2026, well now let's find the money in the budget and let's put some money aside every month so that when it comes time to book that trip to climb Kilimanjaro in 2026, like there's already $5,000 or $6,000 in the adventure travel category of my monthly budget. Does that make sense? I actually really like money. I like talking about money. I like having money. I don't have enough money, but I like to think about how can I pay for this trip in a way that's going to be like zero stress, because when I have a big credit card bill, then that just adds more stress to my life. I don't want that. I don't want to finish an adventure and come home and still have to pay for the adventure, right? That's so lame. Okay, next up, number 3 is, do you even want to climb Kilimanjaro? Now, hear me out here. I think there's this, when it comes to Kilimanjaro, I think a lot of people talk about how it's one of the easier big mountains to climb. And it is. Like, you don't need crampons and ice axes. You don't need any technical mountaineering skills. Otherwise, I wouldn't have climbed it. But, you know, there's this beauty of climbing Kilimanjaro. It's like, you know, it's the roof of Africa. It's like one of the tallest mountains in the world that you can climb. It's like the tallest freestanding mountain in the world. Like there's this beautiful romantic thing about climbing this amazing mountain in Tanzania. And I'm not gonna lie, like I'm in love with Kilimanjaro. She is a beautiful mountain and I love her, and I'm gonna climb her and respect her every single year as long as I can, because she is like the most beautiful mountain. So there's like this like, yes, this romantic version of climbing Kilimanjaro, right? But then there's the reality of climbing Kilimanjaro, where it's like you're climbing uphill for 5 days or 6 days or however long your route is. We're doing the 7-day route, which is like up for 5 days, back for a day and a half. Like it's like up and down. You climb 14,000 feet to get from the trailhead to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. That's like a lot of uphill walking. So it takes a little bit of grit. It takes a little bit of determination, but if you're so like in love with standing on the top of the mountain, you might miss like the struggle to get to the top of the mountain. And that's one of the beautiful things. It's like the struggle to get there, right? When we have to work hard to get something, I think we appreciate it a little bit more. We love it a little bit more. And that's like climbing Kilimanjaro. The summit is so much sweeter because of how hard it is to get to the summit. And the summit, like, we're so obsessed with the summit on Kilimanjaro, with reaching the top of the mountain, with standing on the summit, Ruhu Peak. Like, we really want to be there. That's like the whole goal, right? But if we're also just so focused on getting to the summit, we miss out on these incredible, beautiful things that we see along the way, and spending time with this group that we're with on the mountain. And so a lot can be lost when we're so focused on like, oh my God, I just have to get to the summit. We miss out on the experience to get to the summit. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Kilimanjaro. If you're ready, do you have time to commit to getting ready physically, mentally? Do you have it in your budget so you don't get off the mountain and then you're stressed out because you have to pay for it now? That sucks. Don't do it. And then finally, do you really want it? And what part of the climb do you want? Do you want the summit, or are you going to be able to just like enjoy the whole experience of trying to get to the summit and probably getting to the summit? If you have questions about Kilimanjaro, like I said before, I've climbed it once, so I'm pretty much an expert. But no, I'm happy to answer questions you have about climbing the mountain. If you would like to climb the mountain with me in August of 2025, it's 2025 now. Wild. So if you want to climb the mountain with me and want to learn about how you can join me for a group trip, head on over to our website, hikelikeawoman.com. We lead group trips all over the world. This year we're going Iceland. Next month, like in a month, I'm so stoked. Iceland, we're going Costa Rica again. We are doing Southern Utah, Kilimanjaro, and then Patagonia. So lots of big trips on the schedule. I'd love to have you join me for a group trip. There's something really special about traveling with a group of women and doing something hard with a group of women, like climbing Kilimanjaro, because it's such a supportive group. And sometimes when you do an expedition like Kilimanjaro and you're just with a bunch of strangers, different, like it's just different, right? Like our group trips are really special. And if you've watched our channel, I think some of that specialness has hopefully come through. So those are my thoughts on climbing Kilimanjaro. This went way better than my live stream, so I'm going to delete my live stream and put this video up. But if you have any questions, please reach out. Rebecca at hikelikeawoman.com, and then check out this video because YouTube thinks you're going to like it.